Alright everybody, hey, Jeff here again. This is the second video. As I mentioned in the last video, if you watched it and you've bounced to this one, if you didn't, there's another video. But what it is I bought a bunch of fairly inexpensive stuff recently on Discogs and Facebook and other places. And so what I did, rather than have one really long video, is I split it into two. The one previous to this is of mainstream music, and this one is going to be all Christian related music, Christian pop and rock. And so I figured I'd split it up so that I have two shorter videos, and this would help for people who may not want to know or don't know much about Christian music and don't want to watch Christian music. They can just skip this part. You're here because you like or want to know more about this Christian music that I acquired, and so let's get on to it. Now, what I said in the last video, if you didn't see it, is basically on Discogs, when you go there, you find something you want. And I was going out to say, I want this album. But then when you look, you're like, okay, I got to pay, this album's only $3, but I got to pay $5 shipping or whatever. And they'll ship multiple albums for that same amount. So then I started digging through their catalog to find other things they want. And I'll put together, to save on shipping, put together an order. And that's what I did a couple times. And just bought a bunch of albums that were usually under $10. Most of them under $7, even under $5. Just kind of things to fill holes, not necessarily things high on my want list, but things that I still wanted to have. So that's what we got going on now. This whole stack here is going to be Christian pop related, Christian rock pop. First up, Daniel Amos. Now, this is the Shotgun Angel. I have got all of the Daniel Amos CD where they remastered and deluxe editions and stuff. Don't have all of the Daniel Amos catalog. And they didn't do a deluxe edition of this, at least not that I know of. And of all the ones I do have on CD, I don't have this one. And this is a classic. And so when I saw this on, I think this was on Facebook, somebody had they were selling just a bunch of records, and they were like $4 a piece, and they were all in very good condition. So I said, it's time to grab me Shotgun Angel. I have heard it, listened to it online, really dig it. If you're not familiar with Daniel Amos, they're kind of a pop band. Not really pop, they're almost folkish pop at times. They are pop, some of their stuff is. It depends on the era you listen to. This was early on. So anyway, I decided it was time to get that in my collection, so I grabbed that. Now, this is one that I went after and then found a couple others again. This is Brian Duncan, Whistling in the Dark. Big Brian Duncan fan. Hey, this is one that somebody was selling on vinyl for really inexpensive. I'll grab that, and since they're going to save on shipping, I'll go ahead and grab a couple others. This was one actually on Facebook, not on Discogs, where somebody was selling it, and I thought, I'm going to grab this and a couple others just to save on shipping. And this is one that I really wanted, and I would like to get some more of his stuff. I don't think... Yeah, this is the only Brian Duncan solo album that I have so far on vinyl. So I went ahead and grabbed that. It's just one of my favorites from back in the day. And if you're not familiar with Brian Duncan, he was the lead singer in Sweet Comfort Band, and this is the first Sweet Comfort Band, and this is one that I've never owned. The CD always tended to be more expensive than I wanted to pay for it when it was coming across my path, and I never had I don't know, since I've been in vinyl, I hadn't really seen it pop up much, but then it popped up and they said it was in very good condition, and it is, and I went ahead and grabbed it. A little different than their other stuff. This is very much, slightly different sound. They went on to be poppier and a little bit rockier on later releases, which I do have. I think I've got all of the Sweet Comfort Band vinyl releases except this. But I knew I needed this. I knew it's something I didn't really have in my catalog for many years. Don't even think I'm not even sure if I've heard it before I bought this. So was glad to get this for a real good price. Now, this was another one that I saw, and I'm like, I want to get that. And since, but again, it's one that I have a digital copy of, but I don't think I've ever had on CD or vinyl. I think somehow I just got the tracks at some point, but Steve Camp. Now, Steve Camp, he's a contemporary Christian music, pop, borderline rock at times. He plays piano. It's not all piano stuff, but some, he does play. I've seen him in concert at least once. And I just dig his music. I think it's cool. I like his lyrics. He's very, I don't know, he's just very serious at times. I have all of his stuff on CD. And I've just been running across his older stuff on vinyl. And this is his second album, I believe. And I had picked up his first album couple videos ago. I think I got it from Boone's Overstock. They just had a used copy there. So I grabbed that, his first one, which I also had on digital for years, but never had the physical copy. This is the second, which I've never had a copy of other than digital. And then I think it was his third album that I found a couple months back at a local thrift store in great condition for like $1 that I had never even heard before. It's not online. I don't recall ever seeing it on CD. So his early stuff, I'm glad to have on vinyl because I've never owned a copy of them before. So I saw this and I thought I gotta grab this. This was a Discogs purchase. And since I grabbed this, this is one of the ones that then I launched into buying some other things. One of which, again, was another Steve Camp album, which I think I had it on CD back in the day. I may even still. But anyway, it was very inexpensive. It's got a hole punch in it, but whatever. It was very inexpensive. I wanted to go ahead and grab it on vinyl, so I grabbed another. This is later on. This is many years later in the 80s there. And then while I was at it, these are some other ones that just were add-ons. Actually, this was some of the Facebook ones with the Brian Duncan. But I got another Phil Keaggy, Love Broke Through, which I do not think I've ever owned this album. I picked up a couple of Phil Keaggy's early albums. I think this is like his second or third. It's early, one of his early releases. Threw it on, and Love Broke Through came on, and I'm like, hey, I know that song. So this is a Keith Green song, which you'll hear about in a minute. But I love Keith Green. I was cool that he did a cover of Keith Green. And, you know, so this is Phil Keaggy, early stuff. I went ahead, you know, I ran across some of this stuff in thrift stores and have been buying it. So when I saw this one for really inexpensive, I thought, well, let's fill a hole and grab that. Along the same lines, The Master and the Musician. This one I've had on CD forever. This is one of my favorite albums. It's instrumental. It's just amazing. I love it. And I saw it on vinyl, and it was a steal. And so I grabbed it. I went to add it on Discogs and found that this edition wasn't on there. This is this typical brand, which I guess is Nissi. But all the ones online on Discogs already were brown. I'd never seen a blue one myself, and all the records I have by him that are on this label, they're all brown, multicolored. This one's like blue. Never saw it, so I had to add it. But I don't know if that's, I guess it's just a repress, 1978. But I just thought that was neat. It was something different to have a different label than I'm used to seeing on his stuff. Let me look at the other one. I can show you if that's on that same label. No, move phone. Okay. And speaking of Keith Green, I grabbed a couple more to fill the holes in my collection of Keith Green. I have now all of the albums by Keith Green on vinyl except one. I think it's No Compromise. I asked this person who was selling these, I said, hey, now if only you had that one, I'd have them all. And she looked and said, I don't have that one. So, and again, I've had these on CD, or the box set that has all of these albums on it for years. I love Keith Green. I just love his ministry. I love his music. And I wanted to have them on the Warmth of Vinyl. And so been picking them up. And like I said, now I have them all. I grabbed these two. I have all but the one. Now, these next three are going to be borderline Christian releases. I almost wanted to put them in with my mainstream releases, but I figured these are going to be something that the Christian crowd is going to be more familiar with than the people who are not. Put them down, I can put them all. First up is Look Up. Look Up. All right, so you're probably familiar with who this is. It's not hard to tell when you look at the picture. This is Mylon Lefevre and Broken Heart. What is this, 86-ish? But they have a song, Look Up, Trains Up in the Sky. Anyway, I always think of that when I think of this. This is I don't know what they were doing. All I recall is back in the day, we said, okay, look, Mylon's putting out a secular album for the mainstream artist. It's still his music. It's still very reminiscent of the stuff he was doing back in the day with Mylon and Broken Heart. But lyrically is not quite as Christianized, I guess you could say. And it's just not marketed for the Christian market. It's marketed in the as a basically type regular pop radio. Don't think it ever did very much with that. Don't think it took off very much. This is the only album that we saw from Look Up. And so saw somebody list this on Facebook. I forget if it was the $17 or $22. And I hope people don't just blindly buy stuff on places like Facebook. I went immediately when I saw that. I'm like, well, I want this album. I almost clicked bought. I almost did that. Hold on a second. Put on the brakes. Pull it up on Discogs. $3.50. $4 shipping. In this case, it was probably one of the $4 or $5 shipping, but I tacked on a bunch of extra items and saved on shipping. I'm hoping people are, I mean, some people are asking outrageous prices on records, and I know record popularity is getting higher and growing, but sometimes I'm like, serious? An album that just came out, they're running out to the store and buying it for $29 and then turn around and say, I'll sell it to you for $40. Why? I can go to the store. I can go to Amazon. I can go anywhere for this amount. It's not like you're selling me something old. This is something old. It's not worth much of anything. Why would you be asking $20 for it? Went online and got a very good copy, very good plus, for about $3. I just hope people are being knowledgeable and doing some research, because it's crazy if they're not. All right, these next two are Mylon LeFevre albums. Okay, but this is Mylon before Mylon LeFevre started doing Christian music. Now, to a degree. His family, the LeFevres, have been doing music since he was a kid. A gospel band. And I believe it was 67, Mylon LeFevre had a gospel album out, a solo album. But then shortly after that, in the late 60s, early 70s, he started doing just mainstream rock and roll. Probably, you know, kind of rebellious sounding at the time for what his family was known for. And that's what these are. These are Mylon, and these are just like southern rockish blues rock, just great stuff. I've had digital copies of all of these. He's got some under the name Mylon. He's got some under Mylon and Holy Smoke. He's got some under Mylon LeFevre. And I thought, hey, these were on this Discogs site for really inexpensive. I think they were both, I don't know, they're in really good condition. They were both under $5. So I went ahead and made the grab, and I thought, well, this will be the beginning of getting the rest of the Mylon stuff. There's probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 more that he did before he did the Christian stuff. And since I already have acquired the majority of his Christian stuff on vinyl, I thought, yeah, I need to go back and start getting some of this. And these two just happened to present themselves, and so I grabbed them. I really dig this stuff. And a lot of times there's spiritual aspects to his music. I mean, he's got songs like Rock and Roll Resurrection and things like that. But he's got that toying with stuff. But this was when he was basically doing his own thing and trying to, you know, make it in the mainstream world. At the time, he had been writing songs for everybody from Elvis to all kinds of other musicians, and was writing and selling songs. So this was his attempt to go out and put, you know, do his own music, and it's great stuff. And so I'm just glad to have gotten those. Now my dog is here wanting to play. Look at that. Got you. And so I am done. That is all I got for now. I think I am going to try to put together one of those Vinyl Tag 2020 things, but I wanted to get through these first and share these with you. So anyway, thanks for watching, and rock on.